Hello and welcome to Week 2 in Introduction to Online Writing Instruction. This is Dr. Harris and I just wanted to do a short video, sans my face, to talk about what we're going to be doing this week. We won't have a discussion this week, we're just going to have one big activity. So you have a couple of readings and then you're going to complete your first alignment activity. So I'm starting here on the Weebly website. And this little preamble here, it just kind of gets you oriented. What I wanted to point out is this paragraph here. If you are working on designing a class that you're already involved with, which is about maybe half of you, you can use that class to work through this activity. If you don't have a class you're currently working on designing, I would like us to use the Writing Program Administration Outcomes Statement for first year composition, which are the outcomes that UALR uses in its Comp 1 and 2 classes to design a freshman level writing class. It doesn't necessarily need to be a class that you would teach at UALR, although it could be if you wanted to design a Comp 1 or Comp 2 class in particular. We're just going to use these to get started if you're not working in a class so that you don't have to go through creating a set of outcomes. Also, generally, if you are going to be teaching in an online writing program, they're going to have a set of outcomes that they want you to work with that align with their departmental outcomes and with any general education or university learning outcomes that exist at that institution. So use those outcomes to complete this activity, and you see here are our outcomes for the class and how that aligns with the 4C's principles statement. So all we're doing this week is the assessment plan. If you have before Saturday, August 22nd, opened the Word document linked into the syllabus and downloaded it to start working, you might actually, sorry, not linked into the syllabus, linked into the assignment. You might go re-download this new version. I actually modified to make these tables all make sense. They didn't in the original version. So you'll be using this table to basically start thinking about alignment. So before you get started, you're going to read those chapters in the Warnock book. They just kind of give you an idea of thinking about what kinds of lessons you might prepare. That's chapter 4. Reading, what reading should you choose? And for the sake of convenience, if you aren't creating your own class, we're just going to work with the Writing Commons readings. So you can consider that to be an online textbook. It's an open source textbook basically, and it gives you a number of different readings in different areas. So just for the sake of ease, so we don't have to review textbooks, you can use that Writing Commons site as your textbook. And then there's an assignments chapter that I'd like you to read about that helps you to think about student-driven online assignments. So back to our table. I know you're not going to be able to read this. The text is too small to pick up well on a screen, but this is just a basic grid I actually got from Sharonda Lipscomb in the STAR office and modified for our purposes. And this embeds those WAPA outcome statements for first year composition into this grid. If you're working on a different course, I can put a different grid up there that's basically blank that you can put your own learning outcomes into. Just let me know if you want a blank grid. Otherwise, we're going to use these. So these are the major overall. There are 4 learning objectives, and then these are the sub-objectives. This looks overwhelming, but this document here is for planning the entire class. What we're doing this week are just focusing on the first 3 weeks of that course. So you've just done basically week 1 in an online course. Some of you have had other online courses where you've done other week 1s. What do you plan on doing in week 1? What objectives do you need to meet in that week 1 in order to start working toward these overall outcomes for the class? And remember, try to create assignments that embed multiple outcomes. So are there ways that students can do, objective 1.1, 1.2, 2.3 in the first week so that they can maybe hit 5 objective assignments with 2 or 3 materials using just 1 assignment or 2 assignments or assessments? Are there ways that you can build in multiple components of a single for a single assessment, multiple outcomes? So once you have I would recommend just kind of play around with developing those weeks. Go back in and just use this kind of as a guide to check off which outcomes you're hitting in which weeks, and that kind of keeps you on track. If you figure out at the end of the 3 weeks that you aren't hitting any, you might want to think about, as you design the rest of the course, hitting those objectives. This only goes through 7 weeks because I actually used it to design this course, which is an 8-week course. So you can add additional columns to that to build that out to 16 weeks later if you want to do that, if you're doing a 16-week class. But for this week, just those first 3 weeks are what we want to get going with. Once you're done creating that, you're going to upload the Word document to your Google Drive and convert it to a Google Doc. So this is an extremely important point. If you upload it as a Word document and then share as a Word document, I cannot get on to edit or add comments. So once you upload into Google Drive, you should see a little more options icon, which looks like 3 vertical dots, and I will open that up and show you what that looks like real quick in your Drive. Okay, so if you upload, let's say I'm going to upload a document here from my desktop. I'm going to upload this document, which is actually our BA lawn. Then once you go in there and click on that document, you can go up here to these 3 little buttons and click on Open With and Google Docs. And that allows you to actually open it as a Google Doc and then share it with me. I know this is kind of a complex process, but working in Word to do the table is easier than working in Google Docs on tables, but I still want to be able to have that access to your document to edit. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. That's about all for week 2. I'm going to open up a discussion board just for us to be able to share thoughts and comments on this activity as we're doing it, but the discussion board itself is not a graded component of this week's class. So if you have any questions at all about week 2, please let me know. If you're going to be working on a different class other than the WPA outcomes version, let me know as well so I can kind of keep track of who is doing what. And I look forward to working with you in week 2. Goodbye.